What's up, guys? Henry Gracie and Eve Torres here in Newcastle, Australia, visiting our family members, Angela Gracie and Luke Beston here at the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Newcastle. We're getting tons of requests and comments and concerns about this quote-unquote game that's going on, the knockout game that has been trending in the media lately. And there are a lot of people that are very worried. Even seasoned martial artists are very concerned about this game because of the unprovoked nature of these attacks. And for those who haven't seen it, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty unbelievable what's actually going on. Basically, random groups of teenage kids around the country are running up on people, surprising people who are in no way, shape, or form defending themselves and trying to knock out these people with one shot. Basically, that's the essence of the game, is can you knock someone out who's totally defenseless and unanticipated of the attack. People have already died because of this game, and we had to speak up and we had to talk about it because, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Right, and you've reached out to other martial artists and tried to get kind of some feedback as to what is the answer to this, because everyone is concerned. Everyone's
Right.
concerned, and everyone's been trying to find out what can I do to keep myself safer. And kind of the general consensus is what?
Awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Yes, the problem with awareness as the answer is that it's just such a general term, and it's kind of all-encompassing, and it's kind of overwhelming, because the fact of the matter is we cannot be 100% aware 100% of the time going through our daily lives.
And as a result, you tend to, because life is distracting. You have things to do, you have things to worry about, you have stress, you have text to send. I mean, you have to do things, and if awareness is the answer, and you can't be 100% vigilant all the time, then what do? You just kind of dismiss it, and you go on to living your life. So even though awareness is the answer, and it is correct, what we're trying to do is give some guidelines as to when and how to utilize your awareness in various degrees to minimize the risk of being targeted by these bullies, essentially, these young kids without any sense of integrity or and 100% cowardly acts that they're perpetrating. So it all boils down to a concept that we have used a lot and we've talked about in many of our self-defense programs. It's called the triangle of victimization.
Right. And we've especially taught this in the Women Empowered course.
Yeah.
And it applies to sexual assaults especially. And
well, the thing is, you have to realize that these unprovoked knockout attacks are more closely related to sexual assaults than they are related to chest bumping, ego driven, I'm better than you, don't look at my girl, street fights between two punk guys, which is kind of when you think street fight, you think of that, right? You think of two guys who disagree and things get riled up, egos get checked, no one wants to back down, and then punches are flying. And whereas these knockouts are predatorial. You have to catch the person off guard, you have to carry out the assault and get away without being caught. So this very similar to sexual assault in that they're very much keen on making sure that it's not an anticipated attack. So because of that, the triangle of victimization that we've so successfully taught in the Women Empowered Women's Self-Defense program that we teach at the Gracie Academy applies very, very similarly in this situation. And we wanted to kind of translate that and make it aware, because I think maybe even a lot of the students and viewers around the world who may have even heard of the triangle of victimization almost in the women empowered context, sure, said, oh great, that's great for sexual assault, and dismiss it, so they never really took it as their own.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're saying, wait a minute, how can I make sure that I'm not targeted by these teenage punks from some random angle who want to just knock me out to make themselves feel cooler? So the triangle of victimization is perfectly applicable in this situation. Essentially, for those who don't know, what the triangle is an idea that in order for the assault, right, assuming the triangle, the complete triangle is the assault that is going to take place by the perpetrator. In order for the assault to take place, you need three components, right? You need an assailant, right? A predator, an attacker in the situation. You need an unsuspecting target, and you need an opportunity. And as simple as that might sound, of course, you need a bad guy, you need a good guy, and you need them to have an opportunity to carry out whatever assault they have planned. As simple as that is, and as easy as that is to understand in the simple sense, the challenge is, or I guess the important aspect of this discussion is to understand that at any given time, you're 100% committed to making sure that the triangle is never completed. And I think the easiest way to explain this is this. Let's say that one of these punk kids who is knocking everyone out, 5 knockouts in 1 week, and you happen to be at the grocery store, right? You're there picking apples, and there's a bunch of other people, a dozen other people picking fruits, and vegetables in the grocery section of the grocery store. And this punk kid is standing right next to you picking apples, right? So there you have the assailant and you have the potential unsuspecting target, because you're not suspecting it. You're totally consuming your apples, maybe sending some tweets at the same time, and the punk kid is standing next to you. The assault is not going to happen because the opportunity does not exist.
And what is an opportunity? Like,
right.
How would we define an opportunity?
Well, in the context of this type of knockout game assault, the opportunities are very specific, right? It's a situation where the attacker does not want to get caught, so they want to attack the potential unsuspecting target in a situation where there's the least chance of bystander intervention. So almost always, it's an isolated situation where the target is not crowded or surrounded by other people or with their peers. So that's what we mean by the opportunity, okay? Now, what do we mean by unsuspecting target? This is very important to understand as well in terms of defining what they're looking for. The attack cannot, if there's a perfect opportunity and there is an assailant who wants to knock the person out to carry out this game, they can't do that if the target is suspecting, is aware, and is, I guess, has the assailant on their radar. Because
especially in these specific cases, where
this is
that's
it.
what they're, the only way to knock someone out completely who has, no experiences,
right.
is to catch them completely off guard. So these people have no idea that this assault is coming, and that's why people are fearing this so much.
Yes.
But
so in terms of defining the actual triangle of victimization and each of the components, it's important to understand what these components are, because if you're fully committed to preventing all three components from existing at the same time, either A, you can't allow the opportunity to exist, or B, if the opportunity does exist and there's a potential assailant there, you can't be the unsuspecting target.
Right. And I think that we also need to paint the picture of sometimes there will be all three of these elements at once, right? Meaning there will be a potential assailant or predator.
Right.
There will be an opportunity because, again, we can't control our surroundings at all times. And there will be you as the potential target. So we can kind of paint a picture of what that might look like. Maybe it's you're walking home from, not even walking home, walking to your car from work, 2 minutes away at the car park
right.
down the street. And it's sun has already gone down, and this is the only path that you can take to get to your car. And there are not a lot of people around.
Right. So
right
clearly
now,
the opportunity is primed. And what we need you guys to understand is your degree of vigilance and awareness has to be directly correlated to the degree of
the number of these components that exist within
and leading the way of those components is the opportunity. Okay? Because if you're in the grocery store, fine, text, tweet, talk, pick your fruits, do whatever you want. But as soon as you leave to the car, or as soon as you leave the office to go to your vehicle, or as soon as you walk from your car to your home, or down the street or an alley where it's an isolated situation, suddenly, when we talked about awareness at the beginning of the video, that's where it has to be peaking now.
When the opportunity is there.
Right.
There are not bystanders around. It is, you are isolated.
So now what does the awareness do for you? Well, number one, you need to start scanning 360, right? You won't need to scan 360 in the grocery store because you're safe. But when you're walking to your car and there's nobody else there, the last thing you can have, as is so common in these videos and these attacks that we're seeing, is someone running out of nowhere, completely unseen, and being able to knock you out. When you're in a situation where the opportunity is prime, you have to be scanning 360, okay? So
for the predator, right? For the potential assailant.
Right, and let's categorize that potential assailant. For the most part, in these attacks, what is it? Groups of teens, groups of younger kids. Okay? Normally it's not done by one person by themselves, because the whole purpose of carrying out this attack is to show how bad and how manly and how tough they are. So they definitely, if they're gonna risk knocking somebody out, they're most likely, based on what we've seen and read, they're gonna risk it when there are other people there to validate that they did it.
Oh, damn! My man got slammed. James, the one-hitter quitter.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be that group of teens.
Correct.
Because, again, these types of incidences happen all the time. So it could just be somebody that's giving you a bad feeling. Whatever it is, you have to trust your instincts and know that if they're on your radar as a potential predator or assailant, you have to listen to that.
So we talked about how awareness at all times, 100%, all the time, being fully aware can be exhausting. And because it could be exhausting, people tend to dismiss it altogether. We're saying that when the opportunity is prime, that's when the awareness has to start creeping up. Not all the time, but when the opportunity is prime for this type of assault. And when the awareness kicks up, if you look around and you're scanning and there is no potential assailant, Okay, keep scanning, keep moving, and get to your destination, right? If you scan and there is a potential assailant, now we have a situation because there's an opportunity and there's someone or a group of people that you've identified as
Potential.
attackers or threats in this situation. So
And there's you.
exactly. So you are the potential target, and now there are the two other components. So we're very close to the triangle being completed in this situation. So what do? We can't, if we could, change the scenario and leave the environment where
Walk across the street.
Yes.
Or take a different route.
go into a business
Great.
where there's people there that can help, protect, and more crowded.
Leave the opportunity.
Yes,
right.
kill the opportunities, great. If you can't get rid of the opportunity and you can't get rid of the assailants, you are the only factor remaining that can solve this and prevent the triangle from completing. Now, when we defined the third component, which is you, the potential target, we mentioned it being an unsuspecting target. So as soon as the two other components exist, to prevent completing the triangle, you must turn into a suspecting target. And what that means is
It's not just awareness, but it's like
suspecting.
you're scanning 360,
Suspecting
like you expect
means,
something to happen.
yeah, when you suspect, it means you are expecting them to carry out and attempt this crime against you, this assault against you. And when you're suspecting that, what happens? They don't have the third component that they need, which is the unsuspecting target, because they can't risk carrying out this knockout game on someone who's expecting it, because the risk of not accomplishing the knockout is too great, right? The risk of being challenged is too great, right? The last thing that a bully or a heartless perpetrator in a case like this wants is to be challenged, right? Because that would risk them not being successful in carrying out the assault, which is there to prove their manliness. So they'll go on to an easier, less suspecting target.
Well, I think we should also talk about what is a suspecting target.
Right.
Meaning you can expect something to happen, but it may not translate to somebody else who's watching you.
Right.
Right? So you have to give this aura of like, look, I know what's going on, making eye contact, walking a certain way. That's how you become suspecting rather than
Yes.
unsuspecting.
They
Not
have
just
to
like,
know.
okay, I think something bad's gonna happen. Like,
Right.
that's not suspecting. Suspecting is like, almost like addressing the threat straight on, the potential threat, obviously without escalating it or egging it on, but being very aware.
Assertiveness, and we
yes.
talk about verbal assertiveness. We talk about visual assertiveness. We talk about physical assertiveness, right? There are many things you can do to say to this person, listen, okay, I see what you're up to. If you want to continue, it's not going to be as easy as you think. It's going to be a fight, okay?
And these kids don't want fight.
They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be challenged. If they wanted to pick fights, they would go bump chest the old-fashioned way and give some and get some. They want the easiest target, least suspecting, easiest knockout, feed their ego and go home and do it again the next day. So when it comes to asserting yourself and how to deal with that person when the threat is actually coming at you, that once you identify the potential threat, the assailant, and the opportunity is prime, obviously it could be a huge area, it could be a tight alley, whatever it is. Once Eve identifies that I'm on the radar, there are things she can do. So this guy is either here or a group of guys are looking, or she's walking to a situation and he starts walking towards her. She can put her hands up, she can look at me, and she can say, hey, back up, what's up? Can I help you? You see what I'm saying? So when she does things like this and she begins verbally asserting herself to this threat, suddenly what am I thinking? Oh shoot, I wanted that one punch knockout, but clearly this is not going to be the case right now. This is not going to be as easy as I
Because I'm
thought.
keeping the distance and I'm verbally asserting myself to stay back.
Right. So you see what we have here is she's physically asserting herself by having a good fight posture, hands up, bases loaded here. Her eyes are looking at me, right? The last thing you want to do is be identified, because later someone's going to call the cops and someone's going to tell them what I did. So they want to be able to knock you out and not be seen or caught in the situation. And she's verbally asserting herself. So all of her defense mechanisms here are being utilized to tell me that I'm not going to be the easy target that they're searching for when they perpetrate these crimes. Okay? Now, obviously at this point, is it possible that he says, no, forget it, her hands are up, she's a woman, I can hit her regardless, or a smaller guy, or an unathletic guy, or someone that the perpetrator, the bad guy, thinks they can hurt easily, so they may carry out and continue to carry out the assault regardless of the fact that she's no longer the unsuspecting target. And then when that happens, it becomes a fight. That's
where
the regular street fight that every martial artist trains for, that every jiu-jitsu practitioner believes and is training to be able to defend themselves in. And of course, that's where my family's been practicing and perfecting for 85 years, right? And we can get deep into that conversation. But we believe that 99% of these type of unprovoked knockout game type of assaults can be prevented without ever having to make physical contact with anybody, through awareness, through understanding of the triangle of victimization and all the concepts that we already discussed.
And
So-
keeping distance and
Right.
assertiveness, right?
And for our friends out there who don't practice jiu-jitsu, who are watching this, who are very frightened by the idea of this knockout, if you pick up the assailant on the radar and there's an opportunity and you feel that the attack might take place, it's all about distance management, okay? This is the most important principle of jiu-jitsu. In a fight, whoever manages the distance manages the damage that can be done. So right now, from this length, she's knockoutable. But if Eve takes one step back, she's out of striking range. It's at least, not even have to be too far, two arms. So here, she's already outside of my striking range. I can't knock her out from here. Got it? If I take a step forward and she takes a step back, she's safe, she's okay. This is called the green zone, where she's at right now. She's safely out of striking range. The red zone is here, one arm length away. And the other green zone is here, the clinch. And this is the foreign green zone to a lot of people. Even though Eve is close to me, she's not knockoutable because by being so close, she reduces the effectiveness, the distance, and the power that I need for my punches. So even though I can hit her, these are ones and twos. These aren't knockout blows. So she's safely within range of the dangerous punches, putting her back in the green zone. And what happens is once you achieve the green zone on a person who's trying to knock you out, you hang on for a while, and then when you feel the opportunity, you disengage, and you're going all the way back out to the other green zone. So the point being, put your hands up, have safe distance, and then if the person goes to attack, boom, she's stepping in, she's holding until she finds her window, and now she's gone. Now she's out, she's running, she's, looking for a better opportunity not to be attacked again. The point being, you're either all the way out or all the way in. And this clinch concept is something foreign to a lot of people. Where instinctively,
most people, when the punch comes, they think I'm backing up, but I end up on the tip of his punches.
Right.
Just by keeping myself at arm's length.
So it's very interesting. It's like when I was a little kid playing in the ocean with my dad, he would say, guys, when the little waves are bouncing around, no big deal. But when a big wave swells up, right, you're in the ocean, you start seeing a huge wave. The safest thing to do is to go towards it and get underneath it. Because if you back up, that big wave is gonna land and is gonna crush you on the way back. So go out as fast as you can, get under the wave. The same thing is true for punches. When the time comes for the big knockout blow, if you try to back up, the punch is gonna be perfectly distanced and they're gonna be knocking you out. So instead, you wanna change the distance, boom. The best way to get distance from someone is to close distance. The best way to get distance is to close distance. And on your terms, disengage from the subject and then get all the way out of the fight. And at the very least, you're not gonna get knocked out. I think at the core of this whole discussion is an understanding that these attackers, they don't wanna get caught. The last thing they want is to be caught, identified, apprehended, or arrested, go to jail, right? They want to carry these assaults and be done with you. So everything we're suggesting to you now are methods and ways to increase the likelihood of them not being successful carrying out the assault and getting caught in the process, right? And when they say, wow, her hands are up, she's looking at me, she's verbally asserting herself, I might hit her, but I might not knock her out. And if I don't knock her out, she might be able to yell for help, or she can at least positively identify me, tell somebody, and the chance of me getting caught are greater. Do you understand? So the whole idea is increase the chance that these perpetrators, these attackers, are going to get caught in the process carrying out this assault.
And interestingly enough, this knockout game has become kind of like a trend in the media, and there's a bunch of media hype around it, and that's why so many people are concerned. That's why we're getting messages coming in, and how do you defend against this? But the truth is, these type of incidents and assaults happen every single day, and they've been happening for a long time. These ones just kind of got a certain media hype and a certain attention to them, and even when this trend ends and the knockout game is no longer the knockout game, and maybe, who knows, maybe it's a new trend that starts that we are not even aware of, but this triangle victimization has to live on, and it has to still exist. So just because teenagers aren't knocking unsuspecting people out anymore doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep this idea of hypervigilance when the triangle is completed.
And remember, the degree of vigilance, the degree of awareness has to be directly correlated to the existence of the opportunity. If there's no opportunity, you can have an attacker and a target and nothing's gonna happen. But as the opportunity grows and it becomes more and more real in any given situation, on any given day, so must your awareness, right? And then once you identify, there's the assailant, there's the opportunity, okay, I cannot be caught off guard right now. And once they see that you're not that person, you're not that easy target, you're gonna be okay. You know what the irony is of this whole thing? Is that these kids are playing this game to prove their manliness, so to speak, to their colleagues and their friends. But what's crazy is that every time they do this and every time we see this in the news, all it shows is how childish they actually are, right? There's nothing more cowardly than punching someone who's completely unsuspecting of the attack and helpless in that situation.
And it's not hard.
Nothing, no
There's
challenge about
there's
it.
Nothing.
Yeah, so there's really nothing manly about it. It's as cowardly as it gets, and to me that's the irony of the whole thing. So thanks for watching. Obviously, you know, this type of information is very important that we share with as many people as possible. Please spread it around, share with your friends, and you know, let's see if we can't maybe save a few lives and, you know, get some people, you know, understanding what they have to avoid. This idea of the triangle of victimization. And anybody out there who's looking for you know, a greater ability to implement these strategies, greater confidence, of course we recommend you learn jiu-jitsu. It's something that can help avoid fights altogether and give you the confidence to assert yourself when that opportunity exists and the potential assailant is there. The jiu-jitsu is just kind of the enabler, it's the confidence giver to the potential target in that situation. So spread the knowledge, share the wealth, and we'll see you guys next time.
Stay safe.